Welcome, KO Koala fam. Those of you who have listened to us before on Quality Time, this is a different kind of KO Koala podcast. Craigoala. It is what we are going to attempt to be at least a semi-regular Halo podcast. Why do you need yet another Halo podcast in your life? Well, we'll tell you, as I think you'll hear here. The gang has quite a unique perspective on some of the things, especially as we approach Halo Infinite, some of the news that's coming around, diverse. We're all seriously hardcore Halo fans, but I'd say that in a lot of ways, we don't really feel like our perspective on things is well represented across the larger Halo community. So we say, hey, let's do it. So I mentioned a gang. I'm Anthony Nicolosi. You know me, but I am joined by I Got Your Potatoes. Who are you, Potatoes?
All right, so my name is Potatoes. I am a hardcore Halo fan. Been in the game, playing the game for like more than half my life. And yeah, that's basically it. And
Favorite
we're here
Halo?
with
What's your favorite Halo?
Favorite Halo? Halo 2.
Oh, good. Right answer. Anyway, yes, keep going.
All right, and so we are also joined by Marcus C.O.K. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Oh, that's me. I'm the editor of KO Koala. That's the only cool thing about me.
Favorite Halo?
I've been playing
Marcus.
Halo for not like half my life, since 2012. So it's about 7 years. But plenty of game time, plenty of experience, plenty of knowledge. And my favorite Halo is the wrong Halo. So
is the wrong Halo? No. But you have to tell us anyway. We won't make fun of you. Okay.
My favorite Halo is Halo Reach.
All right, we got Reach Kid. Hey, dude, Reach's campaign, I loved it. I loved all the Halos to some extent. So, all right, and we are joined by the final member of the gang of four, Mr. Sinister Plum. Sinister, introduce yourself.
You can call me Jake. I have not fully actually introduced myself, I realize, but yeah, you can call me Jake. I played Halo since I could, let's say, comprehend how to shoot a gun in a game. So basically, since I was 5, so that's 8 years now.
So Sinister.
So that's quite something.
So Jake, I'm sorry. You are Canadian, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So you are. That's different than us. The other three of us, we live in the United States. Actually, the other three of us live specifically in Colorado, USA. So you are giving us another point of view, and also you're not really playing yourself up. You are quite the legendary speedrunner, my friend.
Or depends on the circumstance.
Yes, you.
I guess.
Give the crowd a few of your highlights.
All right, so I did Halo 3, Reach, ODST, and 4 on Legendary All Skulls On.
Very nice.
It took about an hour mission, but it was still very low compared to others, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Then for Legendary, I've beaten every Halo from 1 to 5, including ODST and Reach, on Legendary by myself. And it took a while since I went straight into it after not playing Halo for a bit, but I don't remember the times, but it was somewhere near. I recently just did a few speedruns on Legendary. I think my max was, or my best was 3 hours for Halo 3.
On Legendary, all schools on?
No, just Legendary, by myself. Luckily, I was able to make 3 hours.
Damn.
I didn't know how it was by myself, but I did.
Damn.
And then I've made progress in multiplayer of many extents, more on a different profile.
Yeah, I would say probably all of us have played quite a bit of multiplayer. You probably have us all beat on the Legendary All Skulls On campaign playthroughs, but yeah, we're all pretty. We have all pretty extensive multiplayer experience, which is actually the topic of today's episode. So, or related to the topic of today's episode, because we wanted to talk about the recent news of armor coatings, and it's been, beaten to death across the community in various formats, but we still feel like we have something to add on this topic. So for a summary for those who are not Halo familiar with what's going on in the Halo community right now, Halo Infinite has been announced to be released sort of in two chunks, because there is the campaign portion, which is paid, and then there's the free-to-play multiplayer. The entire multiplayer suite of Halo will be free. This is completely different than Halo's ever done before. Halo is usually a $60 game that has the campaign, has multiplayer, has Forge, has custom games. So now it would seem, I'm going to guess, that Forge and multiplayer are going to be free, and that the campaign is going to be the only paid part. Because of that, there are some realities that come with that, including free-to-play monetization schemes. And the first one we've been introduced to is these armor coatings. So the way they've been communicated to the community so far is there's these promotional events that are running, like the Monster Energy events, the like cookies. What are those called? The Mondelez or whatever the fuck that.
Chips Ahoy.
Yeah, like Chips Ahoy content cookies.
Chips Ahoy and Oreo or something.
So when you buy some of those, you can get these armor coatings, which essentially contain a preset for your armor's color, textures, materials, and patterns. So the big one that's got everybody's riled up is the fact that they include colors. Up to this point in the Halo games, you have had the ability to choose your primary and secondary color of your customization options, and then the armor unlocks and everything are different. However, in Halo Infinite, looks like these are based off of the community update they posted. This is replacing that, so players can no longer just go in and change their colors. They've got to get these presets. So if you're like if you've always had like a blue and white armor, you can't just go in and change it to blue and white. You're going to have to get either lucky through a drop or something and get a blue and white armor. So anyway, that's the summary. We've released a video on it on the YouTube channel. I'll give my thoughts to finish this out, but let's start with Potatoes. What are your thoughts about the coding system so far?
All right, so my thoughts on the actual coding system so far is, before we knew every little more details than what we know now, is I liked it. I didn't really care. I'm not really big on a colors guy. Didn't really care what my Spartan looked like in the game. But then found out that you have to buy the skins and pay $5 for purple skin in the game, and that really triggered me, I'd have to say, because other than that, it just turns into Fortnite for me, because everyone is freaking out about the $5 buying skin system.
Yeah.
And I guess then 343 saw it and they responded. They're like, so there is things in the game where you'd have to buy, but you can unlock some through hard work in the game. But that gets me to think that so there's going to be the good skins you have to buy, and then you get shitty coatings which you can earn in the game, which is not, that just for me is not a very good idea. I'm really against that. And I don't see 343 going back on any of this, because they're already launching all these cookies and stuff, as Anthony was saying, and Monsters energy drinks. And so to sum it up, I'm not very hyped for this coding system and the microtransactions that they're adding into Halo Infinite. So that's my main.
So you did point out, right, that there's going to be there are going to be some armors that, based off of their language and based off of what other games do. What I think is going to be the case, as you said, is there's going to be basically three ways that any particular item can be obtained. You can either only buy it, you can buy it or unlock it. That's actually, those are probably the two. Maybe there are some that you can't even buy. You can just only unlock them. But yeah, my guess.
And then you can get more skins off of buying cookies.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Would your perception of the system change if it was, communicated that everything could be obtained without paying money? Would you change? Would your mind
Yes,
change?
because that's like Halo 5. I didn't mind microtransactions in Halo 5 because you could unlock them through hard work in the game. But what I'm seeing so far is that there's not going to be. It's going to be you buy some from an item shop or a battle pass or something. This is just my thoughts. It's not concrete facts or anything, but that's like you can only buy some through a battle pass or something, which are going to be the really cool armor coatings and stuff you're going to see. And yeah, and it's also the same with emblems too. You're going to have to buy emblems too, and that's what really set crossed over the line in my opinion.
Okay.
Because emblems are just not worth buying. So.
All right, Marcus, what do you think?
Okay, so I was kind of in the same boat with Taylor's here. Because before we learned that a lot of the coatings are gonna have to be bought, especially the cool ones. I was okay with it. I'm not really like you or Potatoes. I love customizing my Spartan. I love switching out the armor and the colors and everything. I have like a way I want my Spartan to look, but I like experimenting and everything. But with the coding system, I thought it was pretty interesting. There's a lot of potential you could do. You could do cool effects. You could do cool patterns and stuff. But I think keep sticking with the primary and secondary colors would have been a smarter idea, just to avoid all this drama that is going on because of these armor coatings. I think Hidden Xperia and Green Skull actually put out a pretty good video before they found out that you had to pay for some of these cooler armor coatings. They said, give us the primary and secondary color picker, whatever, just to like have for your base Spartan, and then put in super cool like armor coatings that we can grind to get and earn. And these are like renowned people in the Halo community, and the fact that they're okay with the armor coating as long as they still get the primary colors. I don't know. I think that says a lot, and I agree with them. I think if 343 is like, hey, we'll give you back your primary and secondary colors, but we're gonna keep the armor coatings, especially for the new people that are coming in, because Halo is going free to play. So maybe some people who have wanted to try Halo for years but didn't want to buy a Halo game can try the multiplayer out now. Seeing how this customization system works is very essential, because Halo, in my opinion, has one of the best customization in any game I've ever played throughout all the Halos, especially Halo Reach. I'm just gonna add. As one of the most unique and best customizations in the entire video game industry, and I think it's going to be impactful for these new people to see how it actually plays out. And if it's poor, that's going to be very, very bad for the Halo community and for the newcomers and for 343.
So are you saying that from the perspective that a newcomer is going to come into the Halo community? They're not currently part of the Halo community, or they're they've long been gone from it, and they jump into the Halo community. They see a bunch of, if you will, negative press surrounding the cosmetic system, and that affects their enjoyment of the game. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, perhaps. But there was a point that was brought up, not in this podcast, like a few days ago by you. You said there's going to be potentially like people like Fortnite players coming into the game, and they're used to having their entire skin changed and everything. Mm-hmm. And so, sure, yeah, it does appeal to that demographic, but I don't know. My take, like how I am going to sit down and play Infinite, is I would want the primary and secondary colors just to like, okay, I have these colors that I like. If I get a kick-ass armor coating, I'll put that on. I'm not paying for armor coatings. I'm sorry. I'm not buying a single armor coating. That's just complete bullshit to me. I don't care how cool they are. I don't care what meaning they have. It's complete bullshit that they think that, like, if there was like rec packs like Halo 5 where you could have a chance of getting a super cool one, and like you could either pay for rec packs or you can grind your way up to getting enough rec points to unlock one, then it would be a little different. But if it's literally like, I want this armor coating, I'm going to pay $5 for it. Fuck that. No
All
way.
right. Wait, so Marcus, I'm just going to touch on something you said earlier about the primary and secondary armor coatings that were in all the Halos before. So I think that the 343 said in their notes they put out that about the armor coatings and stuff. I think the fact that they didn't say anything about the secondary and primary coating armor colors being added in makes it seem that they're just completely out of the game. I just wanted to see what your thoughts are on them not being ever like in Halo Infinite at all.
Yeah, that would be absolutely, like, I think that's definitely the wrong move for them. If they were to put in primary and secondary colors along with the armor coatings, that would be huge because the community will see, damn, 343 gives a fuck about this game, gives a fuck about what the community like wants and is saying. I think from like it would only be good. I mean, maybe they would lose a little bit of money because people would be like, oh, I can just put in my colors. I don't need to buy any armor coatings. But like, this is the last Halo as far as we know, because this is a 10-year project. Like, they gotta hit this thing out of the ballpark. Like with Halo 4 and 5, like, I think that they were all right games, but for Halo games, they don't live up to the original trilogy. And a lot of people have expressed great disappointment in these Halo games, in 4 and 5. So with Halo Infinite, they really got to nail it.
Yeah.
And if like so much negativity comes out of this tiny thing, gosh, it's, I don't know.
All right. Well, let's see. What do you think, Sinister? Let's finish it out, going around everybody, getting everyone's thoughts. What do you think, Sinister?
I feel like it's a great addition, but it's also not, because well, it has many reasons. Halo is a monumental game, and that's a fact. Like, Call of Duty wouldn't be Call of Duty without Halo. Titanfall without Halo, nothing. Battlefield without Halo, not as good. Like, none of these games are as good as they would be if it weren't for Halo and its mechanics. So this game is gonna draw attention, especially now that it's on PC and it's not limited to the Xbox. It is going to draw attention, and major amounts, especially since it's free. So if they, like, as 343, they have to make money with something like that, because it's such a big thing that like it's gonna have to make money. So I feel like it would need they would need a system like this. I don't feel like it's a great thing, because like you're limited to specific things. I feel like Warframe could have done, like, they could have done something like that with Warframe, where you can buy certain color schemes and then you can put it on, but not really limit the colors down. Or they could just give you the colors and make you buy skins, like in Halo 5, I guess you could say, where or well, you did buy skins in Halo 5, but I mean colors. So just limit you down to armor and colors, and you'd buy armor, but you wouldn't buy colors.
Let me ask you, Sinister, from a Canadian perspective, have you felt like shafted to any extent by these promotional events, like that you can't get everything that American people are getting or whatever?
Well,
or have you been able to, like, how are these kind of like promotional events seen from a not United States perspective? Like, everything, when these kinds of events happen for us, they work, they just happen, and everything's good. How about for you?
Well, for me, I'd say it's a bit of a pain, because I paid for like 1 or 2 cans of Monster Energy. I don't drink this stuff, but I paid for like 1 or 2 cans of this, and I thought I was actually getting the promotion, but instead I got nothing, and I can't get anything. All I have here is this receipt, and it has a code, and I'm supposed to send this to some person over at the Monster website. But the thing is that I need I need some aerial code or something that's only in the U.S. So I need to literally be living in the U.S. in order to do this, and then
So
that's
so the
it's
monster stuff doesn't even work for you?
yeah, and then I can scan the
sucks.
Snapchat codes, but
That's
the
fucking
bad part,
bullshit.
like they will give me the code. Like I downloaded Snapchat not too long ago, created an account, and I scanned the code on someone's video for Snapchat. It worked. It showed me all the guys, and then I went to the fifth slot. It showed me the code. And it said click more or something to redeem it. I click more, and now I gotta register for an account. I do such a thing, and then it says my account doesn't exist because I'm not in the U.S. and it
Get
needs to be a
wrecked.
U.S. account.
Sinister.
It's something else. I mean, the monster skins, they just look so good.
They look
And
cool.
the emblems too, they look so good. I love the black and green. It's so clean. That was not intentional.
Yeah.
But but it's just I'm kind of sad about it. But yet again, I'm not going to be looking at these things the whole time. I'm mostly going to be shooting. But at the same time, it's still there in the corner of my screen, and I prefer it to look cool.
How
And-
yeah, I was going to ask you how important, like Marcus said that the customization options are really important to him in Halo games. How important are they to you?
Well,
How much do you
they
care
were
about
important to
customizing your
me.
Spartan?
They were important to me like before Halo 5 because like the one of the skins you'd get like Heliorisk or something. I don't know how to pronounce it. You know what I'm talking about?
Skrill?
Yeah, you need to get all the Halos done on solo legendary by yourself. I did that, and I got the skin, and then not too long after, oh my god, it's in rec packs, and now anyone can get it. So that thing it used to be a sign of me asserting dominance over people for what I achieved, and now anyone can do it, and that skin it like some people may assert dominance over others. Some people may have just gotten lucky, and now they just wear it to look cool and try to trick people into thinking that they actually did that. When they
Yeah,
didn't,
that's a huge
you know?
that's a huge thing that I saw in MCC was people could just get the Halo Skrill, the Recon helmet, the Haunted helmet from Halo Reach so easily. Like I think the Recon and Halo Skrill, you get them for free. For the
Yeah.
Haunted helmet, for me at least, getting it like in MCC was way easier than getting it in Reach. Like it was insane.
Oh yeah.
It was insanely easier. And yeah, I heard like so many people are really pissed off about that, and that's another thing that I just remembered. I'm kind of fearing for Halo Infinite is like these helmets that used to have meaning aren't going to have meaning anymore. Like, what if the Achilles helmet and the Achilles armor is put into Halo Infinite, but you could just get it like at the beginning of the game or something? Like, that would totally take the meaning out of Achilles, because you see someone with Achilles in Halo 5, you're like, holy shit, this guy is someone who's been playing this game for a long time and knows like how to play this game well. Like,
Yeah.
So
you
let me
can't help but feel a
propose-
little scared.
Let me propose, because from what I understand, Fortnite has a system where if you have the battle pass, there are these challenges that you have to accomplish before getting certain armors that you can only get if you have the battle pass, if that makes sense. So not only do you need the battle pass, but
Right.
you also need to accomplish the challenges. Would you be okay with that from a merit perspective?
I'd say that I'm
Because that would mean a person paid for it, but they also had to accomplish something to get it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Like I'm like I like battle pass systems, but I also don't like. There's many things that I'd say are cool, but they're also not, because anyone can really do the battle pass. That's the thing. Like they give you challenges that are easy because, or well, most of them are easy because they don't target the audience of dedicated people. Like with Halo 3, if you wanted that flaming or the not the flaming the katana, if you wanted the katana, you had to get every skull in Halo 3. And that would include you doing it all on Legendary or something.
Yeah.
And you had to get every skull.
No, for sure, dude. For
in
sure.
the
Or
game something, and
recon,
that just
right?
kinda
Like,
showed. Yeah.
so
So
here-
it was all really hard.
let me say some things in light of what you guys said. First of all, on this particular point, I totally agree. I think one of the things that Halo 5 really super lacked were these achievement-based armor unlocks. There was Achilles,
then there
And
was
at the
Tommy
very
helmet.
beginning, for a while, there was Helioscrill, but again, that got swallowed up by the Rex system. And there's the Forge ones, like the if you
Yeah,
you know,
is it called like Tommy or something? I can't
yeah,
remember.
the whale one. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
but like the forge ones, the only thing about those is that it doesn't show how much skill you really have. That's the
No,
thing.
but
'Cause
right,
like,
but it is an
like
achievement, if
show
you
that you're
will.
But
Like
yeah,
you
it's
can't just
special.
buy or unlock that through the random.
yeah,
So
yeah, like it shows you that you're really good at like doing forge maps, but at the same time, forge maps can be done by almost anyone as long as you just have a very like as long as you just have a creative vision.
well, yeah.
Whereas
Well, to be fair,
gotta, like,
it's not that easy to make a Forge map
yeah,
that gets
but I
accepted
mean,
into
if the,
multiplayer. So like, I
yeah,
thought
but
it
I
was
mean, you
a
can always
I thought it was a
do it.
meaningful achievement, but the point just being that there weren't many armors that were achievement only unlocks in Halo 5, and I agree with you guys that that was a negative thing, that I'd want that to return. But here's a few things from another perspective, right? This, in my opinion, I don't know what you guys think, but Halo has become in large part a very niche game. There are some people now who still want to play that kind of like arena-based shooter, but generally speaking, that flavor of game is not popular anymore. And not saying it's not good, but it's not popular. The best chance that Halo has at becoming relevant and making the arena shooter relevant again is going free to play. Do you all agree on that? Because it's just the amount of friction at the point of sale surrounding the ability to, like, if you, we all play Halo 5 and so many people in the Discord server are like, "Oh, it's cool." You know what are the two main things that prevent them from jumping in and playing with us? One, it costs money. Two, it's only on Xbox One. Now it's free to play and it's on PC. That greatly increases the chances of people checking out. And there's a reality around that. Halo Infinite has now been in development for 5 years. It might be going on 6 by the time it releases. That thing is going to cost a metric fuck ton of money to make. And the reality is they have to make that money back. And if it's free to play, you have to make a compelling. Unfortunately, the reality of these free-to-play systems in many ways is basically inconvenience you into spending money, right? So for this particular situation with this game, you have to look at it. Because I saw this also in the Hidden Xperia in Green Skull video, and I thought it was, quite frankly, naive. Because there's this idea of like, well, maybe you could just offer colors and instead offer like armor effects, materials, textures, and patterns that get applied over the armors instead as part of the coding system. So leave colors alone, but keep the rest of the stuff. And it reminds me along the lines of, like, if you remember, especially Marcus, the Doom 2016, like, you know how you could change like the grit on your gun and the shine and shit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine if that system from Doom was the coatings, but you could change the colors. I think the reality of that particular thing is, first of all, you can't, if you have colors, you can literally just procedurally generate, algorithmically generate a shit ton of variants, compelling variants that people would be more interested in than just, you need an artist to make good textures, to make good materials, to make good patterns. You cannot generate as many combinations of those things that, and I would argue, as compelling of things. It's not as cool. Okay, if I tell you, hey, Marcus, here's this armor coating, you can get like the scruff and whatever of the armor like Halo Reach. That's what it gives you. Like, it's all scruffed up. You might be like, oh, cool, because I like Reach and it looks cool. But what if I told you, here's an armor coating, not only does it give you the scruff of Reach, but it's, all black and with this like whatever visor, so like you can't get it black in any kind of way. You can't select black, you can't whatever. While it is inconvenient, a black super cool textured armor is more compelling than just the texture itself, if you get what I'm saying. So the reality, go ahead, Matej.
Okay, so I have to disagree with what you're saying, because I see what 343 is doing. Is the multiplayer is free, and I get what you're saying. They have to get more of an audience in there, and that's the only way they're going to be able to do it. But they're also making the campaign $60 and doing microtransactions. And there's most likely going to be expansions to the campaign, like there's in Destiny 2, where you're going to have to buy the DLC and everything. So it just feels like they're taking the campaign and the multiplayer it's the whole game is $60. So the campaign is usually $30, multiplied $30, and they're just making the campaign the same amount as the campaign and multiplayer combined. And I disagree with that. But I mean,
Okay, keep going,
yeah.
Marcus. You say what you're gonna say. I'll be right back. Keep going.
From before or about this?
He left.
Oh, he left. Cool. Well, for me, I'm just gonna go off of what you were saying about $60 campaign and everything. I think, $60 campaign is going to end up being worth it for Halo Infinite because this isn't a linear Halo game. It's not going to take like, I don't know, Halo games usually take five-ish hours, maybe more, maybe less to complete, depending on like difficulty and like skill and everything. But with this, it's going to be an open world game. I'm assuming there's going to like be a main storyline, and then afterwards you can explore the ring and maybe other rings as your Spartan or as Master Chief or something.
Oh yeah.
On top of that, this is a 10-year project. What'd you say?
We might be going to Reach as well, because in that Xbox trailer you see Master Chief running around on like a glass-like planet, and then it zooms out and there's no Halo ring. So it's a planet. It's not.
Yeah.
A ring.
So if you're able to like go to other planets, other rings, do a bunch of cool side missions, explore like all these places.
No,
have these like. This is a 10-year plan, so I'm sure there's going to be updates that's going to add things for free. There's going to be expansion.
So sorry.
And stuff.
There is no way you're going to get even close to making the same amount of revenue from the story DLC single player expansions as you are to the this is assuming both are good. Okay, assuming the campaign is good and the multiplayer is good, because of course if one is shit, this changes. But assuming they're both good, there's no way you're going to even get close to the amount of revenue that free-to-play Halo is going to generate compared to the campaign single-player experiences.
Well, I was saying that the campaign is going to be worth $60, and he's saying it's not going to be. Like, or not that it's not going to be, but it's like different or something.
I'm saying that the campaign should be not $60 if you're going to be having microtransactions everywhere in the multiplayer.
I don't
for
think
people to buy.
Personally, I would be surprised if it's 60. I would expect max 40 personally. But it's true, we don't know. But I would expect it's going to be less than 60. Also because that's sexy at like from a purchase standpoint, especially like at retail, which I know that's not really a thing in our space, but it still brings in a lot for, especially since considering this is the primary, launch front-facing intellectual property for Xbox. There are still so many copies of Halo bought at retail stores, and the reality of that is when Mom X goes to buy a video for Johnny Y, they are like, oh, Halo's $39.99 and fucking Call of Duty's $199.99 Ultimate Edition. Like, I'm buying Halo. So, and that's not knowing. They don't. It's all obfuscated to them that the multiplayer is free and that's only for single player. From their perspective, they see a box that says Halo and it's $39.99. So, anyway, I don't. It's not like I like the system per se, but here's another thing, at least for me, I don't really give too much of a shit. I'm not like Marcus. I just always try and get the Master Chief armor, and I just put myself all black. Like, that's all I ever try to do. So, like, if I get these other cool, the thing that like the shaders from Destiny, right? There are some fucking awesome shaders. The only part of the Destiny shader system that I thought was bullshit personally was the single use shit in Destiny 2. So you would imagine this. There's no justification for this, in my opinion, what I'm about to say. If the coding system has this, I'm going to be fucking pissed. Is the single use element that Destiny 2 had. So imagine that you get that Monarch purple coating. You can apply it to, and you get like 2 copies of it. So one of it can go to your armor, like your chest part, and one part can go to your shoulder, but you need to get more to fill out your whole armor. Fucking trash. They better not do that.
No. I think they already said something about that because they, in one of their tweets, they said the first code you enter will receive a downloadable Halo Infinite of content. And it says 1 Monarch armor coating, and then it says the next one you get 1 thing. So I think it's the same thing you're talking about. They're adding that in.
Well,
if it's one use, though,
we'll see. And if one use, if it is one use,
that would
and
be
if it's
bullshit.
$5, they're going to get a fucking hailstorm on them of freakouts. It's one thing to say you unlock the Monarch coating and go ahead and apply it to your armor. Like, what maybe I can understand if there's a differentiation, or at least I can more accept. I wouldn't necessarily say I like it, but I can more accept the idea of you unlock a coating for armor, for weapons, and for vehicles, okay? But if I unlock the armor coating, I better as sure as hell be able to apply that to any part of my armor as many fucking times as I want.
No, because I don't think they're gonna have separate like armor pieces. You have one shading, that's what you have to use for your thing. Because I feel like if they were gonna do that, they for sure would already be saying it everywhere, telling everyone that that's what they're gonna do.
Well, no, I'm saying if you. Okay, sorry. So you are saying that you think it's going to be like, here's a coating, and you slap it on your whole armor.
Your whole armor.
I
agree. I feel like they would already said something about that.
I agree. They would say, well, because they did say that you can customize your armor pieces very, finitely. Like, they were saying it's going to be like Reach, where you can customize left shoulder, right shoulder,
but that might
left
just
forearm.
be your armor, not the coating.
Agreed. They did not say it was the coating in particular. They said it was the armor. So I agree with you. We don't know for sure, and I would agree with you. You would think they would have confirmed it. I mean, what do you think? I don't know. You gonna freak out if that's the case? I think that's a thing people might not realize yet and might really freak out about. Personally. Yeah. Like, I think some people are still thinking like, okay, this is bullshit, but when I get Monarch, I essentially unlock purple, so I could do like purple shoulders, and then I can use like that red shift one on my legs so I can get my purple and red, and then they're going to find out like, no, psych, you only just get like this predefined thing. I think a lot of existing Halo fans are going to freak out.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. But then I think what they're trying to go for is like, they're going to see a big YouTuber like Pingy kicking some butt, and then they're going to look at his armor and like, oh, damn, that's a cool armor coating. And then they go look in the Halo Infinite item shop or whatever, and they're like, oh, damn, I have to buy that for $5. But then the kid's going to steal his mom's credit card or somehow get money to buy it. That's what I'm thinking. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's going to be one whole thing.
I mean, I think there was this patent that was released a couple of years back. It was an Activision patent about this like they called it like an engagement matchmaking system, like where if people were playing against others who had they would the matchmaking system was designed to put you alongside like good players or really good players or really good players on other teams or whatever, in such a way that would incentivize you to try and either buy their weapons or buy their skins. So I gotta think there might be an amount of that in here. It's a free-to-play game. They're trying to recover what is likely a huge investment.
It's also They say people are saying $500 million were dumped into this game, making it the most expensive game ever made in existence.
I don't think that's super unrealistic, personally. I think from a
Yeah,
cost of development, you could easily get to 150-ish million at least, and you know they're going to blow fuck tons of money on marketing. So
plus it's Microsoft, so
yeah.
they
So
can just dump.
Got so much more.
anyway, here's final thing. I think that look at it from this perspective. If they go to free to play, yes, they confirm they did, and this game is good. And right now, if you go on Halo 5 or Halo MCC, I would bet the grand total of active players at peak hours is probably max across Xbox and PC like 100 to 200,000 players max, I would think. You are easily going to get millions of players concurrently, especially at launch on this thing, which would sort of imply that the majority of people who are going to be playing Halo Infinite are either going to be totally new to Halo or long removed from it. The majority of people are not going to be us, is what I'm saying. The majority of the people who are going to be playing Halo when Halo Infinite launches and shortly thereafter are not this like small dedicated core of Halo fans. We're just like a chunk of it. And I agree with what Marcus is saying, that it's a vocal chunk that sort of represents the community perception on things, especially from a social and content creation perspective. But from a player perspective, there's so much data that shows. You remember when Battlefront 2 came out and there was like all that bullshit around the free to play and all that stuff? I'm sorry, not the free to play, the microtransaction model and how ridiculous all that stuff was. Data actually shows it did not impact the sales of games almost at all over the course of the next 3 months. So basically their forecasts, if I remember correctly, the first chunk did do a little worse than expected, but their overall forecast over 3 months, like, it was all recouped and everything like that. Meaning just that there's such a huge general population that doesn't give a fuck about this kind of stuff. They really don't give a shit. So I think, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Okay,
If 343 is like, hey, you know what? Quite frankly, it's time to move past. Like, all of us Halo fans have all of these assumptions and all of these things we want from a history of playing $60 games for one particular dedicated console. That's not the future. Like, that's just not what the reality is in the future. It's a PC first, I'm going to guess, PC first experience, free to play. It's just not the same thing anymore.
Well, what I think, if we're still talking about codings and customization, because you brought up, there's going to be potentially millions of new people coming in. If I were to come in and be like, okay, I want to make my character super cool, and I maybe like at the end of like a few multiplayer matches, I get like a loot box or a crate or just some general unlockable items. And it's like, oh, you get a monarch shoulder, and you get a red right leg, and you get a brown left leg, and you get a purple visor. I would be like, what the hell? These don't match or anything. I don't want to put any of these on because they'll only complement one part of my armor. And then I'm going to be like, okay, I have to play more. And technically, I guess that would be smart on 343's part, because it'll be like, oh, they're going to want to play more to unlock all the different pieces of armor. But at some point, for me as a new player, I would get so fed up with it. If my goal was to, unlock customizable items and stuff.
Well, I
would
think
get so fed up with it, and I think a full body coding would be better for new players. Because even I can see myself going in and being like, this is stupid. I hate getting grinding and never getting the left monarch shoulder piece or the monarch chest piece. Like, that would just piss me off so much. I would rather just have the entire coding.
What do you think, Mateusz?
Okay, so going off of what you said, is that being like a new player into Halo 5, it kind of this is what contradicts what Marcus was just saying, and Halo Infinite, I mean, not Halo 5, is that you're gonna go in and it's gonna be like the first time I played Apex, or the first time I played like Fortnite or something. You go in, you see the skin, and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then you're just like, I'm just gonna rock the noob skin this whole time until I finally feel good enough to buy a skin, and I want to buy a skin because I'm good at the game now. And that's how I went into Fortnite and Apex, and that's how a lot of people went into Fortnite and Apex, and then that's how those games made a shit ton of money because people started getting good and they started watching streamers that get better and better, seeing them with all their skins, and that I think that's what Halo Infinite is going for.
Yeah, and
And it's a good idea for them.
imagine they see their streamers and they're like, "Oh, that full purple armor is so cool. I want to unlock that." And then they just get the fucking right leg armor, and only they can't find the rest of the armor pieces for like after hundreds of hours of play. Like,
So I want
I would
to get
super
Sinister's thought
frustrating
on
to me,
this,
at least.
but before you talk, Sinister, I don't think of Rocket League real quick because I feel like
I'll be back.
my best. All right, see, my best example, the example I relate to a lot on this is my experience with the Rocket League cosmetics because one, Rocket League has some fucking awesome cosmetics. One that are so cool that at points I've even spent $20 buying one. And they have this like rotational shop thing, which on one hand is inconvenient and annoying as fuck because items rotate through the shop, are available for 24 hours or whatever, and then they rotate out. But on the other hand, you are doing just what you said. You're watching a streamer. Oh shit, what's that decal? Oh, it's this thing. Oh, it's available in the shop. You go in the shop, you want to get it. So from a from that whole psychology perspective, it works really well. I'm sure what you explained there is a motivation there. What do you think, Sinister?
Well, I say that it's like I could see why they do it because the demographic they go for, they want new people, but they also want old. But the thing is a Halo, it must evolve, you know, like the whole thing, combat evolved. It did evolve, and it did what the name implied. Combat evolved for games. Halo Infinite, it's supposed to be a revival type reboot of Combat Evolves, or like it's going to be like Combat Evolved. So it has to do what Combat Evolved would do if the places were switched. And I feel like in order to do that, they have to like they're going to try and make it free because they're like there's no doubt that arena shooters are they're going down a bit. Like the demographic, just it's not as big as it once was. Like Call of Duty is still probably the biggest shooter out there, but at the same time, that's like Call of Duty is a bit of a. It's mostly the same game every year. Like I don't care if anyone likes Call of Duty here. I'm
You're
telling
good.
you straight facts here. It is basically the same game every fucking year. You pay for these skins in this game once a year, or you buy this game for like $80, and then or at least in Canada, for like $80, and then you spend money on all these skins, and then not more than just a year later, they make you do it again. It's just it's so bullshit, and it's all the same. Pretty much all the same. So that one, like, people are more addicted to it, I'd say, because they don't fully change, unlike other things, I guess you could say. So it's not really too much of a whole. But it's not like, let's say, Doom. How like Doom went from Doom 1 and 2 and in 64 and all that. It went from that to like a horror game
Yeah.
in 3, and then Halo, it went from a slow-paced, very
So are you
strategy-based
basically
shooter
saying that from your perspective, the microtransaction stuff is almost secondary to just the main gameplay innovations that the game's hopefully going to bring?
it's probably gonna have to do, yeah, because it's like
Like, I agree
like
with
the
you.
people we have now, like I said about Call of Duty, you just buy the game $80 and then you buy skins and you do that over and over. Each year they make a new one. You do it over and over. All the Call of Duty fans, they just do it. So think about that and then imply it into what is happening there and then how they're doing that. It's not going to be a year basis where you have to change it up all the time. So it's probably going to be a bit more appealing.
Okay.
And
So
people are probably going to be used to it.
yeah.
And then same with like Fortnite and all that, they'll probably be very
Well, I mean,
used
they
to
will, right? They'll just drop in and be like, "Hey, this is my default skin, cool." And there's other ones I can get. That's just how things work, and who cares, Like,
Yeah, it's just like the old fan base isn't really happy with it, but the old fan base isn't really
yeah, I think it makes
there
sense.
as much.
I think
That's
it
the
makes
thing.
sense.
So, like if they focus on the old fan base, it will kill.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I think that's the bottom line. Like the old, it's a kind of ripping a Band-Aid off. The old fan base is used to other things. They're used to games that were released in other environments. This is a complete change from the old Halos.
Yeah, but now it's like all digital and shit. Like you can
Well,
get
dude,
digital
you're right.
games.
It's a free-to-play PC game.
I know I'm 13 and
That's
all
what it
that,
is.
but at the same time, I understand this stuff for what it was. Like I may buy a ton of digital games and was born into that generation. I may have not been able to camp out overnight just to get a game or console. But I sure as hell can understand that most of what gaming is now happened because of those people
Yeah.
and that demographic. So I feel like if they focus on them, it will kill the game completely because the
But
game can't focus complete, like it can't get rid of sprint like Halo without sprint, in my opinion, can be retarded.
no,
Because
but
think
I
of it like
agree
this:
with you.
you are optimized super soldier who has been outfitted to go 60 miles an hour, lift tanks, go back and forth between bullets. You can go so fast that you will be a blur across the battlefield. It literally says that in one of the books. The Covenant will see Spartans as blurs in the battlefield, and their men just drop
This
dead. That's basically how fast they
I
are.
think this
It's kind of
particular
retarded to not
conversation.
have sprint.
Yeah. Well, and first
So
of
I
all,
feel like
not
it
retarded.
makes sense, but
But
I mean,
Movement
it can
based.
be. Like think of it like
no, but
like
I get
in
what
the-
you're
in the
saying.
lower
I was
class,
more talking about choice
describe
of
it all,
words.
but like
No, yeah, I got you.
Oh,
I understand that. I think that's a conversation for another time. We should talk about that. This whole disconnect from what a Spartan can do and what the lore is and what people expect or don't expect. Mateusz, what I think let's try and start wrapping this up. What were you
All
gonna say,
right,
Mateusz?
okay. I was gonna say I agree with you and Sinister, but the thing is, like, you have to focus on the new fan base and like get new people into the game as much as you can. But then also you can't discard the old fan base because these people have been loyal to your game for so long, even through like the shitty Halo 5 campaign, the shitty Halo 4 multiplayer, and they've still been sticking with it and like buy 343 side the whole time. And they can't just throw that whole fan base in the trash because they need new people. That's what my problem is with like this whole new thing. But like also they have to focus on like the business perspective, which is like everything from this is like really smart business perspective. But then you just like you make your whole old fan base angry, and everyone who actually really cares about the game is going to be really pissed. Which I feel like 343 shouldn't. They should make a good compromise in between, not just completely throw out the old fan base
Well,
just to
let
care
me
about
ask
the new
you
one.
this question.
Yeah,
What
that's-
do you think the old fan base wants more? No microtransactions or a lot of people playing this game?
Honestly,
well, that's a little bit of a divide, I guess
Yeah.
you could say. Just gonna put that out there. Like half of them want one thing, half of them want another.
I think people who
but
that's
there
my-
has to be
that's
some
my
middle
side.
ground they could think of, and not
Well,
just completely.
I totally agree
Well-
with you, and I'm sure there is. But it's like I was telling you before, for armor customization things in particular, if you want to relieve, like literally think about this. We calculated it for that video, right? In Halo 5, I think there were 56 colors to choose from primary
Or
and secondary.
just use Halo Reach. There's 30, like 30.
Okay, so that's
you could
even
do,
less. 30.
Yeah, so you could do 30 plus 30. I mean, 30 times 30 is 900. So there's 900 different combinations you could have.
So I actually think it's much more than that because it's combinatorial. So basically, for any certain color, you can get the 30. Actually, no, you're right. That should work. So 900. So thousands. Realistically, if you're using the Halo 5 one, thousands of color combinations just off of that. If you can, in this particular system, you seem to have you seem to have more than primary and secondary colors. Agreed? Like, it looks like you have a color for the torso, a color for legs, and it looks like legs have 2 colors. It looks like shoulders have 2 tones of colors, arms have 2 tones of colors. The helmet even maybe has 2 tones of colors. It looks like you have maybe 7 categories at least of colors to choose from. So if you have these like thousands of color combinations across these 7 different ones, you have like hundreds of thousands of different just color combinations for the different combinatorial options for these particular with the Halo Infinite armors that have so many categories of colors, if that makes sense.
But I don't think that's the problem because like
no, the problem is if you are 343 and you're like, how do we make a bunch of compelling coatings consistently and like on a regular basis? The answer is you need to make it algorithmic to some extent. You need to take the pressure off of just having your artists try and pump shit out every week, you know?
Yeah, because they could just be like, oh, no one cares about a pink and a seafoam green combination, so we don't have to add that in. And just like think of all the combinations that no one like ever used and not add them in. And I don't think anyone would care about that because mainly people use like black and gold or black and white.
From my perspective, I think they could do that. I think they also could just like feed it into a program that generates out coatings. You have artists looking at it and are like, oh, this is a good one, you know, and let's use it. Oh, this one is shit. Let's not use that combination ever.
Yeah.
So, and then maybe on top of that, they do it. Because I'm thinking again, like Destiny, right? Especially if we haven't seen this yet, but it could be, right? Because Halo's got Forerunner shit. You could have like armor that's got like that Forerunner glow going through it, for example.
Yeah, or you could have like the flaming skull in Halo Reach on every single part of your body.
Have you seen like Doom Eternal with their new skins, the Maker Slayer?
No, I only see the unicorn.
So basically, makers are like an alien race that, like, let's just say they look like a bit like robots or something, I guess you could say.
And they put that on the armor?
Yeah, they basically made the Slayer's version of him being a maker, and he has like armor that is like it has all the energy flowing through. It's like the armor based off of it just the same, so they could definitely do that like forward or like look at the Didax armor.
Yeah, and I think they potentially are doing this because if you saw, I can't remember what the red armor is called, but the red armor and the Monarch armor, the purple armor, they look like the textures and the patterns and the designs look different. Like the red is like a lot more scratched up, a lot more gritty. Looks like it's like battle torn. The Monarch is like very sleek. It's very clean. It's very almost plasticky in my opinion, but like it shows that they are willing to do stuff like that. And like, I don't know. I think like a Forerunner style armor piece could be possible. A cool ass pattern, a cool ass texture. I don't know. I think it definitely could be possible based on the fact that these 2 armors that they've shown us have pretty different textures and patterns.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, anyways, just to wrap up my final thoughts, I think that the actual coding system is a really good idea. I have no problems with that or anything. I really like it. The thing you could do with it or they could do with it is really like infinite possibilities. I just have the problem with the microtransactions, which I already said all my things with it, but I I know, like, as an old-time Halo fan, I'm gonna have to accept it because I just love Halo for Halo, not for the armor skins or anything. So, like,
Microtransactions are a reality in video games, and
yeah,
will
and we're
never
gonna have
go
to
away.
accept it. Yeah.
Yeah, they will never go away. Guaranteed.
So,
Especially in EA games.
those are my final thoughts.
Okay, cool. Right on, guys. Well, there is so much more that needs to be talked about in the Halo world, and we will cover it. This is our initial, armor coating setup. I'll tell you this: does fundamentally do the armor coating news? Let's finish on this. Does the armor coating news fundamentally change your excitement regarding Halo Infinite?
Not
No
really.
way.
No.
I'm still
I'm
so
already
hyped for
getting a
that
red
game.
and black one from GameStop at some point, so I mean, I'm pretty much.
Yeah.
I was ready
I-
to play Infinite after watching the Halo reveal trailer. I don't give a fuck about the if the graphics looked like that.
Yeah.
Like, I need
I
that
th-
game.
I
I
I've
mean,
already
dude,
put
from
Halo
my
Infinite.
from my perspective, and I felt like the perspective of a lot of Halo fans after watching the campaign, the very first time it went live, what I came away with was like, oh fuck! I could almost feel like how those guns felt and the fight with the Covenant.
Yeah,
like,
I love that.
oh
But
shit!
then you-
It looks so good. It looks like it's gonna play awesome. It's gonna play very Halo-y.
In my
But
opinion, it might be Halo
But then
2.
you have to think. Like, if some old time Halo fans shitted on that for everything, because they said it looked bad or anything. Imagine the new player base they're trying to get with all these microtransactions and stuff. If they see that and they think that looks bad.
well, yeah. I mean,
Updates will fix
This
everything.
this is a whole nother one. Well, maybe that'll be our next podcast episode.
Yeah.
Very good, boys. Until
right.
next time, if you want to join in on this conversation, join the KO Koala Entertainment Discord. You can find us at kokoalaentertainment.com. There you have links to our Discord and all this goodness. You can jump into the Halo channel. That's where we have a lot of these conversations. And yeah, maybe we'll talk about some of your thoughts on the next episode. Until next time, everybody.
And
thank
support
you.
the Patreon.
Support the Patreon. And in fact, the Patreons, some of the Patreon tiers, all the Patreon tiers to some extent, inspired by Halo. We have Koala Kazi, Koala Tacular, and Koala Manjaro. Koala Manjaro at the peak of $10 a month. You are getting back, let me tell you, you are getting free merch every 6 months, 2 stickers every 3 months. You're getting a ton of perks, including behind-the-scenes content, voting on game nights with the devs, blah, 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 so much shit. And you are functionally only paying $5 more than you would have for that same equivalent merch if you're an American fan. So basically, you're really just paying $5 for the rest of those perks over the course of 6 months. Oh, you appear in the credits of our game after 6 months. That was the one that was slipping my mind. But on top of all of that, you are even getting a better deal if you are international. If you're Canadian, you're actually technically making money on value based off of, thanks to saving money on shipping, blah, blah, blah. So yes, please consider supporting the Patreon. You can find a link there, again, at kokoalaentertainment.com. Until then, let us know what topics you'd like us to discuss, what Halo topics, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Sayonara.